All right. Hey everyone, thanks for joining. We're just going to jump right into it. So today we're having a MyCoast meeting to go over some program updates, and it's a bit of an open forum as well, so that we can get your feedback and answer any questions you may have. And just as a little bit of background, MyCoast is a phone app and a website where people can upload photos of flooding and storm damage to a public database. Photos are then linked to environmental data to help provide context. This is a statewide tool that began in July of 2022, so it's been active for about 1.5 years. It's a partnership between New York Sea Grant and the New York State Water Resources Institute with funding from NOAA. And really the goal is to create a data set that documents flooding, shoreline change, and storm damage through photos that are submitted by our network of volunteers to help raise awareness of these issues, to track change over time, and then to use these photos to benefit communities in emergency management, planning, and other solutions. And I just want to acknowledge that 2023 was a rough year. We had some flash flooding events in the Hudson Valley and in New York City. Our waterfront communities have seen a lot of coastal flooding over the past month alone. And we hope that you're all doing okay. And when you upload photos from these events, you're really helping to tell the story of how extreme weather and rising seas are affecting your community. So I'm Jess Coonan. I'm a resilience specialist located in Kingston, New York, and I manage the MyCoast New York program along with the MyCoast New York outreach team, which is made up of staff from New York Sea Grant and the Water Resources Institute. They are all listed here, and they're all on the call today and playing different roles, so you'll probably hear from a few of them. So the flow of the meeting for today is we're going to continue with an activity next. Then we're going to hear from a MyCoast New York user. Then I'm going to give a bit of a presentation. It's about 20 minutes worth of materials. We have a lot to communicate to you. And then we're hoping to have some discussion in at least the last 15 minutes in this kind of open forum, format so that you can talk as well. We ask that you participate. We have some polls and in the chat and the Q&A, but also keep your comments and questions brief so we have enough time for everyone. Please remain on mute when you're not speaking, and then use that Q&A box in the chat to interact with each other throughout the call. So before we begin, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who has contributed photos over the past 1.5 years. This map on the right is the blue dots are locations where we have photo reports. So you can see that we're really starting to get a lot in Long Island, New York City, throughout the Hudson Valley. And we're also starting to get some photos upstate, which is fantastic. So I hope we continue that trend. I also want to thank all of our partners. We have an advisory committee. We work with state agencies and just keep in touch and get their feedback on how this tool can best fit into their work. And we also have partners that just help us promote the tool and use the tool. And for that, we thank you. And if you feel like your organization should be on this list, let us know. So as of today, we have 425 total photos and we have 591 people registered in New York. And now I'm going to hand it over to Kristen from the Water Resources Institute, who's going to help us understand who is on the call today.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. It's actually you all that are going to help us understand who's on the call. So Jess has set up a poll everywhere. And if you see on here, there are 3 ways to access the poll. You can either plug into your browser, this here, join by web. You can do that, or scan the QR code, and that will bring you to an interface where you can enter answers to the survey. If you can't, you can send a text. That just won't allow you to use the map interface. So I'll give everybody a moment to, if you could do that now, either join by web or scan that QR code right with your phone. I'll give you a few more seconds.
And if you get a question that says register for credit, you can just skip that.
Okay, I'm going to move forward. Okay, great. Yeah, Jess will move us along here. All right, so here's the first question, and that should come up. Oh, good. She's got the instructions here up the top if you missed it, so you can QR in. So if you would, just select all that apply for you. So if you're texting, you just put in A and then enter. Whoops. Oh, so people are starting to reply. All right, so if you're municipal staff, community member, business, nonprofit, state or federal agency, educator, or other. And if you're other, please feel free to just put that in the chat, what other means. Wonderful. So we'll give this about 10, 20 more seconds. But it's looking like we have quite a few municipal staff, which is fantastic. Municipal staff or representatives, general community members, and then a smattering of nonprofit, state, educator, or others. Wonderful. And also, if you're having any trouble, please just say so in the chat and somebody can help. So, all right. So again, if you please put in where, at least the primary place from where you are calling in from today. Again, this will work if you join by the web or use the QR code. If you want, if you're texting in, just put it in the chat and we can add you to the map. But it looks like there is a good representative good representation down in Long Island, New York City. I think we have somebody even from New Jersey. Very happy to see people from the Finger Lakes, Buffalo, Niagara Falls. So not just, oh good, okay, we're getting a few coming in the chat. But yeah, wonderful. It looks like we have a pretty broad representation that roughly follows the map that Jess shared of the photos. Okay, so then the last question is how often do you use MyCoast? So is it really every day, weekly, monthly, every now and then? Depends, or you haven't yet used it. You're not yet a user. So again, do the same. If you're having trouble, yeah, great. Somebody just put it in the chat and we can add your information to the poll. So mostly what we're seeing is, so far anyway, people are every now and then, and I'm guessing that sort of depends on when you have events. Yeah, when storms, somebody put in. Depends, never. But some people are actually using it every week. Fantastic. Well, wonderful. It's great to have such broad representation on the call, and I'm excited to hear your input throughout this session.
Yes, thanks everyone. All right. So a big question that we get is, why should I contribute to MyCoast New York and how are the photos being used? So today I'm very excited that we have Ryan Murphy, who's an emergency manager from the town of Southampton, who's just going to tell us a little bit about why he's interested in MyCoast New York for his work and how he uses it. So Ryan, take it away whenever you're ready.
Thanks, Jess. Thanks, everybody. Happy to be on today. We've been using MyCoast since the original meetings that we had, and I'm sure some of the folks that are on today were at some of those introductory meetings where you guys told us about the program and what it can do. And so the town of Southampton has been pretty active with utilizing MyCoast since that point. And obviously, I'm sure most people are aware that, of late, we've had plenty of opportunity that we wish we didn't have, but we did, to use MyCoast. So in the last couple of weeks, it's definitely been very utilized by the town. One of the ways that we use this is when we have our emergency operations center open for the town, it serves as a mechanism for, field reporting, as opposed to some of the previous methods that we would have had to use, where staff would be either, emailing in or texting in pictures or things like that to try and identify, disaster assessments. We utilize this as a mechanism to try and capture that all in one place. And it's worked out really well for us. So if I have 4, 5, 6, 10 people out in the town checking different areas for flooding and storm-related damages, they can just, as they go about their areas, capture the images and capture the reports of any kind of flood or storm damage within MyCoast, where back in the Emergency Operations Center, we can have that as one of our screens that's opened up. And because of the refresh rate on MyCoast, it seems like about 1.5 to 2 minutes or so, it refreshes with the most current reports that are coming in from out in the field. Now, we know which ones of those users happen to be our town staff, but at the same time, we can also see any of basically the crowdsourced flood reports and storm damage reports that are coming in from members of the public too within our area. One of the nice features with if you're more familiar with the app than you are the use on the computer, is that you can narrow down that reporting, obviously, and just look at the reports that are coming in for your specific county, and then you can actually drill it down even more to specific hamlets within the township. So when we pull this up on our screen in the EOC, we're looking at it and just looking at the specific hamlets and the reports that are coming in within the specific hamlets in the town of Southampton to narrow down our field of view and just get the reports that are pertinent to us. We've pushed the availability and the benefit of MyCoast out through some press releases to the community to try and encourage more users. And in fact, with the sensitivity right now of the flooding topic based on recent storm events that we've had, I think we'll probably be pushing something back out again, because we're at a time where members of the public are really dialed into this, and we might see some additional subscribers and users from within the town of Southampton, so that we can just continue to build our database of storm reports and flood reports that come in through the town. So that's just kind of a quick synopsis of the ways that we've been using it. But the same way, really, it's terribly beneficial to us in the same way that we have a screen up within the EOC that shows power outages and outages by area, and the same way that we might have our police CAD system up on a screen indicating what the call backlog might be at any given point. One of those screens that we now have up on a computer is MyCoast, so that we can monitor the flood reporting and storm reporting real time as an event is taking place. And we'll also send people out immediately prior to and immediately following an event to be able to try and do a decent job of documenting storm conditions and flood conditions at different points in the tide cycle too, so that there is a comparative basis to work off of as well. It's one thing to take a picture of the water in the street, like that top image there, during a storm or whatever the case might be, but to try and create a reference point is what we're doing to show, all right, this is 5 hours before high tide, this is 5 hours after high tide, and this is what we're looking at here in the way of damages and what's still residual, within the streets of the town, to try and just do a good job of documenting that. And it's really come in handy for us. It's enhanced our situational awareness within the town, and it's something that we're using in conversations with the National Weather Service, as well as some of our partners with the county and the state when it comes to trying to do preliminary damage assessments and reporting immediately following storms too.
Great, thanks for that overview, Ryan. And I'm going to demonstrate how to search reports and filter, like Ryan was describing, a little later on. But we have time for maybe 1 or 2 questions if anyone has them. We ask that you just either raise your hand or put it in the Q&A or the chat box. And it doesn't, I'm not seeing any questions, and that's okay. If you think of one later, we can come back to you. And I guess I have one question for Ryan, and that is, do you have any challenges with the tool that come to the top of your head?
I've got to be honest with you. No, not thus far. It's actually really user friendly. It's great the way it just automatically geolocates and picks up the most current, information for the site that you're at. But at the same time, if you've got if you didn't have an opportunity to put something in and you need to do it from an alternate location, or something comes in from someone that's either not using the app or maybe not too tech savvy or whatever the case might be, it's easy enough, I find, to be able to just upload that report and change the location if need be to reflect a proper area. So it's pretty intuitive and user friendly. I don't think we're really having much challenge here, and I have a few of my staff members on the forum with us today that are probably some of my more regular users, and they seem to have indicated the same sentiments when it comes to their experiences in the field.
All right, perfect. Well, we love to hear that. Oh, I see we have David Clark has his hand up. If you want to.
Hey, yeah, I was just curious for Ryan if you've had experience with other communities or even at the state level, like interest from emergency management, the state OEM or others. Have you discussed your use of this tool? And I guess, I wonder if it'll become more widespread application.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it becomes more widespread. I spent 10 years at the county in the Office of Emergency Management before coming to the town, and I would have loved to have had the tool available to me when I was there. And I've had conversations with some of my colleagues at the county, and I was recently actually, while standing, taking probably one of the pictures that's on here next to one of the senior leadership members of Suffolk County DPW, and showing him the tool out in the field. And there was interest even from their side of things too, on the DPW side of things. And you can imagine where the benefits would be on that if you've got roadway flooding and things like that that might be related to storm drain clogs and things that DPW immediately gets involved in. So I think there's some interest there. And I think if people actually got to see it in action, like I was able to do with the one individual last week, there would probably be even greater buy-in too, because when they see how simple and user-friendly it is, I think it's more encouraging.
Great. Thank you for that. All right. So I think that'll, we thank Ryan for sharing his experience with the app. And this is really helpful for us to understand our messaging and how to promote it and grow its use as well. So thanks again. And with that, I'm going to move us right on to the next portion of the agenda, which includes program updates. And we have a lot of updates, so I'm going to talk pretty fast. And and let's see how it goes. All right, so first update is we do have some new outreach documents. I just saw a question in the chat about promoting this to your communities, and we definitely support promoting MyCoast as you can. So on the website, we have a resources section where we have flyers and two-sided fact sheets. We have one version in the color blue, which is more directed towards coastal communities. And then we have this new version in green that's for communities that are maybe upstate, maybe in like mountainous areas or near rivers that don't associate with the coast. And so we hope you check those out. And if you want any nice glossy printed copies sent to you, you can just email me and I will send them in the mail. So this originally started as a 2-year pilot, and this July will be 2 years. And since it's gaining momentum, we just want more time, and we have funding secured through July 2026. So just wanted to let people know about that. We're also going to up our social media game over the next year, hopefully. We now have a MyCoast New York Instagram account. It's actually a former account that we're going to transfer over to MyCoast. So follow us there. And we're going to have a Facebook page as well. And we will let you know via email when all those are ready for you. So please follow us on social media. A quick note that we did a bulk data transfer from the New York City Community Flood Watch program. And when we did that, there were a lot of duplicates and we have a lot of QA/QC to do. So it looks like we have around 2,000 photos, but that number is much less. And I just wanted to flag that, but I'm not going to get in the weeds of it. And then one more announcement, just that we have this data download feature available. And I'll demonstrate that in a little bit. And that's so you can download, large chunks of photos that are filtered to the areas that you want. And you can also download the data in Excel format and bring it into GIS or do some type of analysis with it. So looking ahead to 2024, we're still working on our work plan. Again, follow us on social media. We're going to continue with our newsletters twice a year as a way to just communicate about the program. We're also going to start an effort where we're doing more outreach to municipalities and kind of packaging the reports. Because, we have like 60 reports now for like Dutchess County. So we might start reaching out to the county, letting them know that this data exists, maybe specific municipalities as well. So if you have any ideas on how to package that information, we'd love to hear it. And a big question we have today is, do you want more meetings like this that bring people together? They can be shorter, but more regular. And is more training needed on the tool? Because we definitely have the capacity to do more trainings and more gatherings like this, especially virtually. So in fall 2023, we sent out an evaluation survey via email. And so I just wanted to share some of those results to give some insights into who uses MyCoast. So we had 56 survey responses. If you filled out our survey, we thank you very much for that. This map on the right shows where the survey respondents were located within the state. So mostly New York City, Long Island, and the Hudson, but we got some upstate people as well, which is great. And the top motivation for using MyCoast is concerns about flooding and storm impacts to my community. So that's 74% of respondents. And I think that's helpful to just know that, I'm looking at it from the statewide view, but MyCoast truly is a tool to get hyper-local data for your communities. So it's great to see that. And then other motivations people had was concerns about climate change, raising awareness of these issues, helping to contribute to solutions, and to just gain knowledge. We had, other motivations that people could write in, and a lot of people wanted to contribute to something useful. So I just included some quotes here. Creating a timeline regarding how the floods affect our living places. A lot of people have experienced floods and therefore are motivated to contribute to a program like this, you know, living through Sandy or Irene. A lot of people are weather enthusiasts, you know, they're a geek, they love astronomy, meteorology. We love, you know, all of our MyCoast users for whatever reason they're contributing. And we also have a lot of community advocates as well. And then several people are using this for their work in meteorology and emergency management, like we just heard. So we hope that you see yourself reflected in these users and motivations. So throughout this survey, we got a lot of feedback and questions. And so I wanted to take a moment to kind of go through these quickly to just try to efficiently get the information back out to you all. So these are the types of questions I'm going to talk about in the next few minutes here. So adding multiple photos, clarity around the different report types, the geolocation feature, what if you have spotty Wi-Fi, how to search reports, and then having us do more with reminders and notifications. So adding multiple photos, someone asked, I wish I could add multiple photos to one report on the computer like I can from my phone. And this is great feedback because this is really easy for us to change. We just let MyCoast, the company, know that we wanted to make this change. And so that's all set. So now on the phone, app, and the computer, you can upload multiple photos per report. Although we do want to say, make sure that the photos are different enough to make it worth it, because otherwise it's just, we're getting a lot of, you know, really similar photos where maybe the frame is just slightly moved. So in addition to that, I just want to say, you know, make sure you're choosing some like different angles. So this is a great question. Someone says, since many floods are related to storms, it's a little confusing to know if I should use the flood watch or storm reporter photo report. Some clarity there would be helpful. So I'm going to just step through the different reports right now, and hopefully this will help. And I know that our messaging about this hasn't been the most clear. So I'm going to start with storm reporter. And our tagline for that is documenting damage after the storm. And so we're thinking damage from wind, water, ice, and snow, and damage to infrastructure or the natural environment, or, you know, anything else within your community. So you can see in the lower left photo, we have this photo is depicting erosion, a washover event from a dune breach. This photo is showing what that white on the ground is actually hail. And there's also a lot of leaves mixed in there. So it's showing the damage to the surrounding trees. This photo is downed power lines and trees. Always be careful and make sure you stay out of the way of, you know, staff that's working to clear these areas. And then this photo is showing damage to a bridge. And when this person submitted the report, they also included in the same report a photo of when the water was actually coming over the bridge. And so, you know, you can do that too, showing different stages of the water in one report. And then the photo in the lower right, this is showing, you know, a flood, and the roads are impassable due to the flood water. And so I think that's where people get confused. And I guess the answer is that, you know, you can also submit flood photos to the storm reporter. And I have a little bit more guidance on that in the next couple slides. So the other main reporting tool that we have is called Flood Watch, with the tagline, tracking flooding across the state. So flooding is water on land that's normally dry. Some people also think of it as, you know, water where it shouldn't be. And so just kind of use that as some guidance as well. A lot of people have been showing, taking photos of high water events, like this one in the middle. It's just the stream is, you know, raging at this moment. And that's a great thing to capture as well, even though it doesn't it's not necessarily coming over the banks in an obvious way. This one is showing blocked storm drains, that's a road right there. And then, a tidal flooding as well. And flooding can happen for all types of reasons. And so we've listed some of the reasons here. And if you go to our fact sheets and flyers in the resources section, it'll also kind of like outline what these reports are meant to be for as well. So in conclusion, a question to ask yourself is, what's the main thing that I'm documenting? If you're trying to document the water, then use the FloodWatch tool. If you're documenting water plus some impacts or damages, you can really use either. We're not gonna, not accept the photo. But if it's, you're really trying to zero in on the damage and record that, then you would want to use the storm reporter tool. So don't stress about it. We may revisit this, and we also have the power on the kind of like back end side to reassign different report types. So that's something we may do in the future as well. So I hope that helps. All right, so geolocation. Someone asks, if the app could automatically populate with the location and time a picture was taken, that would help me upload photos. So the app should do this automatically, but it can be finicky. One thing you might want to do is check your phone settings when you go to app settings and make sure that the location is turned on. I actually had an issue on my phone where it wasn't reading the dates and times, so I know how frustrating that can be. And finally, I was communicating with MyCoast about this, but I eventually ended up deleting and re-downloading the app, and then it started working again. So if you're ever experiencing something like that, you can always reach out, and I'm happy to troubleshoot with you. And then I did want to note that on the computer, sometimes when photos get passed around and downloaded in different formats, they lose that metadata of date, time, and location. So just always make sure you're double checking that the date, time, and location are correct before you hit submit. All right. So someone says, it was hard to navigate in the app and to look for pictures regarding my living area. I browsed the desk site and was interested to find all the images. I tried later on the mobile app and it was harder. I couldn't find what I needed. And to this, I say, I know it's unfortunate, but MyCoast, when they built the app, they just didn't build in the capability to search photos on the app the same way that you can do it on the computer. And there's not an easy fix for that. So please continue searching using the website, which might make it harder to do in the field. But so let me show you how you can do that now. So in order to search photos on the website, it's kind of a two-step process. At the top of the web page, you go to search reports, and then there's going to be all these filters on the left side of the screen. And that's how you filter your data. There is a map at the top of the page, but the map only shows 50 reports at a time, and it's only the most recent reports. So I don't actually find the map all that useful. So I'm just going to demonstrate this right now. So here's the MyCoast website. So I'm going to go to the top of the page to search reports. So click on that. And I've already got it pulled up here. And then here's my page where I can filter. So when you get to this page, it should automatically be filtered to FloodWatch and storm reports. But you can change that if you want to. And then what I like to do is if I'm looking for a particular location, I'll usually filter by county first. So let's say I want to look at Dutchess County. There are 66 reports there. And then I really want to focus in on Hyde Park. So I'm going to select that and also Haviland. And so now I am filtered down to just 29 photos, and I can scroll down and view them this way and kind of see if I can find, what I'm looking for. You can hit this button to reset the filters. And then also you can search by start date and end time if there's a specific storm that you're looking for as well. So I hope that's helpful. And with that, I'm going to go back into presentation mode. Okay, we had a comment about spotty Wi-Fi. So, and a request to enable the tool to load offline. For example, much of Ulster County, that's where I am, still has spotty cell service. I would upload photos as they were being taken if the app worked without cell service, i.e. it would store and upload the photos once connection is restored. So again, we hear you with that one. I've played around with this a little bit by turning off my Wi-Fi and my cell service, and you'll get a screen that says we can't connect to the internet right now. And you can start one report typically, but you can't get past a certain point to hit submit. If you do get into service and you reopen MyCoast later, it'll ask you if you want to carry on with the previous unfinished report. But again, it's just one report. So another thing where we apologize if that doesn't work for you, but that's not an easy thing. And we'll keep working with MyCoast about that. And then finally, reminders and notifications. So people asked if there was an email sent around at the time of known storm activity, it would be monitored by New York State. I'd be more likely to contribute. Occasional reminders to people willing to contribute that this site exists. So we have a few things to say about that. Number one, I just want to give a quick disclaimer. So we do currently send alerts, but I just want to reiterate that, when you get those alerts, we're not a source of weather or emergency management information. Always listen to your local authorities. So this is how you enable your phone to receive alerts from us. It's a two-step process. First, you need to go into the app, and under settings, you want to make sure that this is set to enable notifications so that it's green. And then you also have to look up the app in your phone settings. So I have an Apple, or I have an iPhone. So there's a place where I can go to my apps, and then I have to find the MyCoast app in my general settings and allow notifications there. So once you have both of those things turned on, then you should receive notifications with us. We do send them based on information we get from the Albany National Weather Service office and the New York City National Forecast Office. So, these alerts are mostly going to Hudson, New York City, and Long Island. And we don't just have staff that are currently monitoring like the Buffalo and Binghamton offices upstate, but we can certainly work on that and try to get more useful notifications going to other parts of the state as well. For the New York City area, you can also sign up for the Community Flood Watch project via this Google form, and we can put that in the chat for you. So the Community Flood Watch project was actually the inspiration for MyCoast, and they send really detailed emails when there are coastal events. So this is a great source of information. And then, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to become more active on social media. So you can also follow us there, and we'll also be like posting our alerts to Instagram and Facebook as well, hopefully. And on that note, I'm going to pass it over to Hannah from our Community Flood Watch program, who's going to lead a discussion around communication to better understand what works for you all. So go ahead, Hannah, whenever you're ready.
Great. Hi, everyone. It's good to be here, and it's good to see so many people on the call. As Jess was just saying, I send out alerts through the Community Flood Watch project in New York City. ahead of high tide events, especially high tide events, to ask folks to collect photos and just to give a heads up. And yeah, so you can sign up for those emails if you'd like. The link to do that is in the chat. Bye, David. Thanks for joining us. We just wanted to take a moment to ask all of you to give us your informal feedback and opinions about what kinds of communication from the Sea Grant and MyCoast team would be most useful to you as you use the tool. So these kinds of things might include trainings and information sessions, but could also include alerts about weather, as Jess was just highlighting and discussing. That would be, maybe Facebook posts, maybe emails, maybe in-app alerts. Could also include other forms of communication like the newsletter that we send out, or more printable outreach materials. You could also have ideas about whether those materials ought to be translated into languages they're not translated. So we want to hear from you about what kinds of communication from us is most useful to you in your use of the tool, and also in your own communications and outreach around getting people to use the tool. So if anyone has suggestions or insights into that, we would love to hear from you now. We'll wait a few moments if folks want to put things in the chat or raise hands. I didn't specify how to share those suggestions. So I see Dave Weber Jr. says, Facebook is a great tool because it can be shared over and over. Tarky Heath, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, says conferences. I'd love to hear more about what you mean by conferences. David Van Leuven says notifications on when floods on the Hudson are projected are very helpful.
Yeah, and I'll just note on conferences, we will be presenting at the New York State Floodplain Managers Association conference this year. And we're going to be submitting an abstract to NISFOLA, which has to do with the Lakes Association. Tarky actually passed that along to me, so thank you for that. So yeah, conferences are a great way to promote this tool to practitioners. We'll also be at the Mohawk Symposium. So if you have conferences that you think we should attend, you can let us know about that.
I see two more responses in the chat, and I'll just read them out, and then maybe we can transition to the next item on the agenda. The first is a suggestion for a recorded presentation of how MyCoast is used by municipalities that could be pointed to for emergency management folks. That's a great idea. Another suggestion is about using Instagram to get photos for MyCoast, and this person had a really positive response. So it's great to know that MyCoast is going to have an Instagram account now that they could point folks to. And then one more suggestion, New York State Association of Counties and Towns annual meetings might be a good contact point as well. Thanks, everyone. This was really useful for us as we sort of figure out how to, where to direct our energies in the coming year. And I'll pass it back to Jess for the next agenda item.
All right, thanks so much, Hannah, and thanks everyone for your thoughtful responses. And that's what we had today for kind of the information we wanted to get to you. So at this point, we can just open it up. We're calling this the open forum. If you have questions, feedback, we're going to stay on the line. So